talked about relationships, like building good relationships with vendors, and distributors come up in that in a big, big way. Without further ado, we have Jared from Pest Management Supply. With over 30 years in the pest control industry, Jared has built a career around passion, leadership, and a commitment to delivering top-notch service. His experience and drive earned him the role of Vice President of Sales, where he is now focused on driving growth and shaping the future of the pest control industry. Welcome to the Bug Bucks Podcast, a podcast designed to turn you into a bug money millionaire. This episode is brought to you by Bug Bucks Plus, the #1 training and education platform designed to help you build and scale your pest control company. I'm your host, Eric Bassett, and over in Vancouver, Washington at our Bug Bucks Plus studio, my co-host, Jay Klaus. What's up, dude?
What's up, Eric? What's up, my Bug Bucksers?
All right, man. So I feel like we have to talk about this. A little bit of a crazy experience for you and the family yesterday.
Yeah.
And I got a phone call at it's like 8 or 9 o'clock last night.
It would have been, it would have been 6 o'clock, six
Yeah.
o'clock time, something like that.
Okay, I'll let you fill in the
7 o'clock your
details
time, I guess.
because you know a lot more about it than I do. So do tell.
Okay, well, yeah. So we're sitting there. We'd gotten home from work. We're sitting there. We're waiting for Jack to get home. So Jack's been running a route, 3 or 4 days a week for the last little bit. And so we're waiting for Jack to get home so we can start dinner. And watching him on not Insta360, Life 360, the family tracking app. And all of a sudden I see that his location is just spinning in one place on our road. And I'm like, what the heck is this? There's poor signal. So I thought maybe just he dropped cell signal. And then right then, my I Spy Fire app, that's where we get all of our dispatch calls, we get toned out for an alarm. And I was like, oh, what's this? And I looked at it and it's like a crash alert. And I was like, huh. And then I was like, something doesn't feel right. And maybe it's just that parent spidey sense that you're always worried that something's going on, So I'm like, that's weird. And then Jack calls right then, but there's nothing on, it's dead. It's a silent line, like a dead line. And I'm like, that's kind of spooky. So I called him back and he didn't answer. And then he called again and I answered and it was a dead line. And so now I'm thinking, oh crap, this is not good, right? And so I was just getting up to go get my jacket and get into the truck and leave the house, and just then Jack calls and he's like, hey, Dad. And he sounded like really shaken up. And I was like, spit it out, bud. What's going on? He's like, I just was in a car accident. I'm fine. But anyway, we drove down there. It was on our road. And he was just exhausted at the end of the workday. And he's coming up the hill and there's a right turn. And if you don't make that right turn, there's a tree right there. And so he just zonked out for a split second and just bam, right into that tree.
Crazy, dude.
But he's totally fine. Not a scratch on him. In fact, when Jan and I got down there, he said that it was the most comfortable collision experience that he ever could have had. He actually used the word comfortable because the airbags deployed and, he was probably going on 25 miles an hour or something like that.
We should have Jack on the podcast one of these days so that people listening can understand what Jack is like.
Dude,
because unless you know, you just don't get it, right? It's one of those crazy things, but
yeah, Jack's awesome. But you know what? Here's the thing though. So between Vancouver and our house up in the mountains, you're on this highway. Everybody's driving like a bat out of hell, It's a 2-lane highway. There's log trucks, rock trucks, rednecks. I mean, the worst and scariest kinds of drivers you could possibly imagine, right? So we're just counting our lucky stars that Jack didn't doze off going northbound on the 503 with the rock truck coming southbound or drift off the road or something. But yeah, it was scary. It was scary.
Yeah, dude.
But he's fine. He's fine. Everybody's fine. He's fine. We're all fine.
Yeah, if you have to total a car on your own driveway,
Yeah.
in a tree, with no one else around
Yeah.
in the car that he was driving, that's the way to do it. Me and Jenna were talking about this when you guys bought that car. So it's shout out to Honda CRV.
Oh yeah.
This is
Yep.
a non-sponsored shout out for Honda here. Um, when she bought that car, uh, she talked about the safety ratings, like one of the
hmm
highest safety rated SUVs.
Oh,
Uh,
Janice sat on that and just whirled back and forth
yes.
between three or four cars for 2 months, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like when she finally made the decision, she's like, "Hey, it's the safest choice that I could make, right?" And her and I used to talk about like whether it was good to have your kids drive a hand-me-down whatever or like have your buy your kids a brand new car, like they're probably going to bang it up in one way or another and possibly
Yeah.
crash it. So,
Yeah.
which one's better? And her philosophy was, like I can't put my kid in a car that's less safe than what I'm going to be driving around, right?
Yep.
Like how do you sleep at night putting your car or kid in that kind of car?
Yeah.
Um, and like Jana knows, Jana knows very well.
You know what?
Um,
Jana has,
she's got a spidey sense, man.
she does. She has mom intuition times 1,000.
Yes,
And you
she
know what
does.
the funny thing is I during this whole thing, I looked back at the purchase date of that car, and it was April 11th last year. So like 2 weeks before Jess died,
Hmm.
like that's when we got that car. And so I don't know. I was just texting your dad, and he's asking how Jack was doing, and I was like, I'm pushing this thing uh, down inside of me that says that we came this close to within in 10 months time going from 4 kids to two. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna bury that. I'm gonna push that down. And your dad said something like, "Yeah, push that way down." I was like, "Yeah, yeah,
As one man says to another, "Yeah, you got those feelings, just bury those.
yeah." Just
That'd
bury
be
those
that'd be a good idea."
feelings. Just bury those. When you come to
Oh
Boise, we'll
man.
go shoot stuff. We'll go out to the desert and shoot whistle
Yeah.
pigs, or.
Well, it's so good that Jack's happy and healthy and everything worked out. And again, like Jack saying that, like, that was the most comfortable collision I
Most
could have
comfortable
imagined.
collision experience.
That is the one, so such a Jack thing to say. So, um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's one of these days we're gonna have to have him on the show so that everybody listening can understand why that's so funny.
that'd be fun. That'd be cool. Yeah.
Okay, so we
Well,
don't
I'm
want to
just
spend
pumped
too much
about our
time.
guest today. So
We have
enough
an
about.
awesome guest. Yes, we
Yeah.
do. Before we bring him on, just want to remind everybody listening, the best way to receive new episodes is by subscribing to our show on your preferred podcast platform like Apple, YouTube, Audible, or Spotify. If you love the show, please leave us a rating and a review. Make sure to check out our Facebook group, Bug Bucks Plus. That is BUGBUX Plus. We have the owners only group that has over 4,800 other pest control owners waiting to connect with you and share their thoughts. We also have the Bug Bucks Pest Pros group for non-owner team members designed to help them develop in their roles. Joining the groups is the best way to connect with us, share your feedback on our show, and have your questions highlighted and discussed here on the podcast. So make sure you find us on Facebook and join one of those groups. Okay, so before I bring this guy on, I'm going to give him a little bit of some information from the rap sheet. And I will say that this is one of our newest sponsors of the Bug Bucks Plus platform. We're super excited to have them in here for multiple reasons. Without further ado, what we have here is Jared from Pest Management Supply. And with over 30 years in the pest control industry, Jared has built a career around passion, leadership, and a commitment to delivering top-notch service. His journey began at Augustine Exterminators in 1987, where he quickly became well-versed in everything from home improvements to termite treatments, residential and commercial pest control, and sales. Throughout his tenure there, he took on a range of leadership roles from service manager to sales manager to operations manager, honing his skills and fostering a deep understanding of the business. In 2017, he transitioned to Pest Management Supply, where he led the Kansas City branch office from 2020 to 2024. His experience and drive earned him the role of Vice President of Sales, where he is now focused on driving growth and shaping the future of the pest control industry. Jared, how are you, man?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Thanks for being here. It's really really great to have both a sponsor and a guest on the show that is a distributor. So we've got lots of really good questions that we want to pick your brain on. But it's just great to have you here, man.
Well, and also it's cool that Jared is Not only is he a vendor for Bug Bucks, but he's the only vendor in this space, in the
Hmm.
distributor space.
He
So
is.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we when we think about vendors that we want to have for Bug Bucks Plus, obviously it's, hey, what are the members looking for, right? What could benefit them? And having a good, solid distributor as a partner vendor, it's killer. So super excited to share your story, to talk about pest management supply, and just discuss the value that you guys are bringing to the industry and the value you can bring to our members. So
That's good.
the rap sheet's pretty cool. Obviously Augustine Exterminators, 1987. So you've been in the pest control industry for a while, which has been great. Great for us. I'm sure it's been good for you too. What's that experience been like for you?
It has been a transition. I mean, it's been ups and downs, it's a cyclical business. So, you have to learn how to deal with cyclical businesses. Going in, a green person, my brother works for the same company. He's still there after 40 plus years. Um, Basically coming in as a green person, working my way up through the ranks, and then learning the pest control business from an owner. He taught us what he knew and why he knew it, and why and how to succeed with business. And it was just the greatest experience of my life. I was able to raise three kids, and my wife stayed home, and raised those three kids until they were out of high school. My two of my boys, when COVID hit, looked for jobs because one was working for a drugstore and one was working for a guitar store, and both of them were obsolete where we were essential workers. So, I've got two boys that are in the business, and they now work for a family-owned company in Olathe, Kansas. So,
Cool. So both your boys work for the same company.
yes, they work for a small family-owned company called Real Pest Solutions of KC. So that owner,
Cool.
I believe he's 23, and he has brought on, he's huge. I mean, he's just he was a one-man solo operator and a firefighter. And over the
Hmm.
course of, I think, 6 years, he's taking it to the next level where he's got 5 employees, and two of those are which are my sons.
Oh man, that's awesome.
How killer.
That's
How
awesome.
much, I know that, typically parents, you want to kind of take a little bit of the credit for the career path that your kids take. How much influence do you feel like you have with those sons choosing pest control?
Um, Actually, neither one of them ever wanted to do pest control. I was told that when career day happened at the elementary school or junior high, I was told that I could not come to that because I was less than a trash man. They did not want
Oh,
to.
what?
Oh yeah, they didn't want me to come to it and um, express what exterminating was all about. So when they came to me in 2020 during COVID, uh, or yeah, my wife and I sat down, we had a conversation, and my wife was working for a different pest control company at the time. And basically they just saw that mom and dad were going to work every day. So they needed something that was going to get them a paycheck and further their careers one way or another, whether they liked it or not at first. That was one of those things that was on them. I couldn't go to work for them every day and make them succeed. And they've both done it on their own.
Man, that's cool. And you know what? You had me at pest control firefighter. I mean, you got me right there. That's great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well,
So
and I feel like
is that where your family's from? You said it's at where is it? At Athleta? You said
Olathe,
is it Olathe?
Olathe. So it's Olathe, Kansas. So it's a suburb of the Kansas City metropolitan area. I actually live 40 minutes south of downtown Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, cool. All right. Excellent. Excellent. And is that where Pest Management Supply is based? Is it Kansas City?
I have three locations. I have a location that's our main location in Chicago, Illinois. And then we have the Kansas City branch that's in North Kansas City, Missouri. And we opened up Gilbert, Arizona last year about this time.
All right. Cool.
which you don't have to disclose this if you don't want to, but which of those branches is your favorite?
I enjoy working out of my Kansas City branch. It's just something that I loved doing when I was the manager down there, and being able to take care of the employees and making sure that all of our products were getting out to the end users in a timely manner. But I really love going to Arizona.
Who doesn't, right?
Not a bad place to go visit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially you can kind of schedule all your wintertime cold weather type stuff. It's like I think it's a good time to go check on that Arizona branch. That
Yeah.
sounds like a good idea.
Well, that hits close to home for the Bug Bucks team also, because
Hmm.
half of the Bug Bucks team is in the Gilbert, Queen Creek area. So
Yep.
that's pretty neat.
Yeah, and it's obviously with you guys having offices kind of in different places now. I mean, you've got Chicago, Kansas City, and Arizona. Do you guys have a next step in mind as far as expansion? Or are you guys going to kind of settle in with what you have so far?
Right now we're settling in with what we have. We're trying to build off of our progress in Arizona, as well as, start to venture out into some other areas. Like I said, when we were pre-gaming, uh, I'm going to be in Arkansas next week. So I'll be at three different conventions in Arkansas next week doing what they call their road show. So
Hmm.
like Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they offer their CEU classes, and I'll be speaking on tools of the trade.
Cool.
Very awesome.
That's
Oh, that'll be
great.
really, really cool.
Yeah.
Um, and I kind of want to break into some questions that we've been thinking of both, before the show, and just questions that I've heard from PCOs in the Facebook group and conversations we've had. On the podcast previously, we've talked about relationships, like building good relationships with vendors. And distributors come up in that in a big, big way. So, my first question for you, Jared, is from your perspective, from your experience, what could PCOs do to create a better relationship with their distributors?
My personal experience is come and visit them at their office. If you're local, go visit them at the office. Go find out who your salesperson is. Go find out who the management team is at that location. Find out the secretary's name and get to know those people. Um, I mean, my office lady, she's been with us since 2015. My branch manager that we recently hired last year, he's been in the industry 30 plus years, just like I have. Um, it's going out and having that face to face conversation that you wouldn't normally have, being a mail order. Okay, so a lot of the companies we deal with, we have UPS ship our products to them, and they're a 1 to 2 day ship. So that's why I travel, and my other sales staff, they travel as well, to go out and try and meet these people face to face and get that relationship started.
Mm.
Yeah. You know what? That makes a lot of sense. We had a distributor here. Oh my gosh, what was it? It was a little while ago, and we had never met our rep, never met him, and we were getting like just a couple of products through this distributor, and then all of a sudden our other distributor was like, "Well, why aren't you getting this stuff through us?" And we were like, I don't know. Uh, why aren't we? And he said, "Well, who's your guy over there?" And we said, we don't know." And he said like, "Well, there you go. How can I get this started for you guys?" So, yeah, having that relationship is huge, right? Because your business can't operate without products, equipment, other pest control supplies. And the other thing is that when we have our relationship with our distributor, they know what we need, and they know when we need stuff. Like we'll get calls from our guy going, "Hey, I see your last order was such and such, and I think that you're probably going to be needing to order this soon. Am I right?" And we'll look and be like, "Oh yeah, no, absolutely, you're right." Is that the kind of relationship that Pest Management Supply is trying to foster with their clients?
Yes. Um, a lot of it has to do with forecasting. So if the end user forecasts and lets us know what they use periodically throughout the year, we'll make sure that we have those things for them specifically, but as well have them for other people to purchase as well. So as to not run out of stock is what the name of the game is. The more you can keep in stock, the more you can keep your people happy, the better off I'm going to be and the more satisfied they're going to be because they can go to work tomorrow.
Right. Oh yeah.
And maybe this is kind of the other side of the coin when it comes to creating good relationships with PCOs. As a distributor, what's your biggest pet peeve when it comes to PCOs? What are PCOs doing that you wish that they would change?
Well, that's a hard question. There's a few things, but some of them are not as easy to correct. Um, one and two, three-man operations, it's harder to know exactly what they're going to need on a daily basis because sometimes they don't know until the day before or 2 days before, and then they're like, "Hey, I need this tomorrow," and you're like, "Well, you're a 2 day ship. It's going to take 2 days to get it there," and
Hmm.
they kind of get upset, but then they understand when you tell them, "Hey, I'm at the will of UPS. I have to I have to tell you, it's going to take 2 days to get it to you. And once you get it, you can, schedule that treatment." That's one. With larger customers, just getting them on board with forecasting.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Give us a forecast. You know, um, a big sales getting ready to launch next month by CSI, and which is Control Solutions Incorporated. So
Sure. Yep.
basically, they're getting ready to launch a spring sale. Um, I've sent that to a lot of my customers and said, "Hey, could you please forecast? Give me what you're going to buy so I can make sure I have plenty of it in stock." Because I don't want to run out just because this sale happens and everybody gets on board and starts buying. And when you finally call me and say, "Hey, I need XYZ that's on sale," oh, I'm sorry, it's going to be about 10 days.
Right. You're
You
behind the
know,
curve.
right. So
Yeah.
trying to forecast and help out a distributor is going to be the best that any PCO could do for us.
We're going to take a quick moment to highlight one of the premier sponsors of the BugBucks Plus platform. Are you running a pest control business and worried about missing sales opportunities? Let's talk about Same Day AI, the game-changing virtual sales agent designed specifically for the pest control industry. This innovative tool uses advanced artificial intelligence to ensure no potential customer slips through the cracks. What's really impressive about Same Day AI is how it integrates seamlessly with field routes and other top CRMs. It doesn't just quote, it schedules new customers directly onto your routes, optimizing your workload without missing a beat. I've seen it in action and it is truly a sight to behold. The efficiency is incredible. Bookings go up and stress goes down. For any pest control business looking to enhance their sales strategy and boost customer engagement, Same Day AI is your answer. Transform your approach and elevate your service with the efficiency that only AI can provide. Trust me, you'll see the difference. Visit GoSameDay.com to learn more and start revolutionizing your business today. We're going to take a quick moment to highlight one of the premier sponsors of the BugBucks Plus platform. Are you a pest control operator that's paying for inbound leads for services that you don't offer or are outside your service area? How would you like to be able to get paid for referring those leads to other companies, all while getting high-quality referrals in return? If you're getting calls for jobs you can't take on, Baton has you covered. With Baton, you can easily refer those callers to other trusted companies and get paid for it. It's super simple. Just create your profile to show what services you offer and where, then start referring leads to more than 500 of Baton's vetted partners, all while getting exclusive, high-converting leads referred back to you in return. Every referral you submit not only gets you paid, but also increases your chances of getting referrals from other companies. And don't worry, every Baton partner pledges not to steal or poach your existing customers in need of other services that you don't provide. With Baton handling the transaction, you can know that customers you refer are in good hands. For BugBucks Plus subscribers, there are no onboarding or membership fees. Plus, you can get up to $400 in free referral credits just for being a subscriber to the BugBucks Plus platform. Give referrals, and get paid. Join Baton today. Go to bugbucksplus.com/Baton to get started. Now back to the BugBucks podcast.
Do you find that inventory management systems play a key role in this? And like, what kind of inventory management systems do you see companies using that really give them an advantage in like not falling behind the curve?
So we do not have an inventory management system. There's several other uh, out there that do. I find that just with my customers, I send them an Excel file with all the products that they currently use. And then during the year or towards the end of the year, I can send them an Excel file that says, hey, this is what you used this year. What are you looking at for next year?
Oh,
Okay.
cool. So you're
Are you
actually
wanting
like
to,
actually doing the forecasting with them.
right. Are you wanting to stay on top and do these exact same products next year? Or are you wanting to change up something just because you want to change it? There's a lot of guys that believe that you have to change, you know, every roach bait, every month, every treatment. Um, Got to change rodenticides every single time. You know, it if the products are working, you stay with what's working. Once it stops working, you find a different solution.
Oh,
Um,
totally.
that's just the way I would look at it. But everybody has their own way. There's when you go to any company, like where I worked. I mean, we had a chemical room that was full of materials and we could pick and choose what we used. We were never told, hey, you have to use this manufacturer's product because we don't want to deal with that manufacturer. We
Hmm.
had every manufacturer in our chemical room and we were able to utilize anything we wanted to solve that bug problem or rodent problems.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
It's nice having a having a distributor that is locked into some of the science behind those products. Because we talk about active ingredient rotation, we talk about MOA rotation, even formulation rotation, if people care about that. And there are all these different philosophies that are floating around the pest control industry about what you need to do and when you need to do it and how. And so it's nice to be able to reach out to a distributor and say, hey, I'm thinking about making this change. What do you have in stock? And that distributor comes back and says, well, first of all, let's talk about why you're making that change.
Right.
Like what are you seeing? What kind of effects are you noticing? What response are you getting from customers? What's your reservice rate? That kind of a thing. Because like you said, it really depends. If things are working, it's what is that? Don't try to fix it if it's not broke kind of
Hmm.
scenario. And there is science behind product rotation. I don't want to downplay that.
Correct.
But following the actual science and not following some otherwise popular philosophy, I think is really important. When it comes to products that you've got as a distributor right now, do you have a favorite that you've been recommending recently? And if you do, why has that been the one that's on the top of your mind?
Currently, the one that I have had favor on is Redesco. It's the new
Mm.
active from, so basically what it is, it's Alpine WSG mixed with Fendona and a water granule. So it's the
Oh,
new product by BASF. Basically, it's a killer when it comes to roach treatments as come in, knock them down, and then start vacuuming, things of that nature as you're knocking them down. Once you come back, you'll use something different the next time. You can use baits or you can use, Alpine WSG or an aerosol or most anything at that time. But the Redesco has a great knockdown. It is a repellent. Even though it has a non-repellent and a repellent in it, it turns it into a
hmm.
repellent. So, but it gives you awesome knockdown.
Oh, that's
Wow.
cool. Yeah. You do a lot of your clients do a lot of roach jobs then.
Correct. Yeah, Kansas City.
Okay.
When you're in a metropolis like Kansas City, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri, which are two different parts of Kansas City, um, you find that the more inner city that you get into, the more German roaches that you'll fall into as well.
Yeah. Surprisingly, here's the strange thing. Surprisingly, out here in the Northwest, we don't see a ton of roach jobs. I mean, you'll have them here and there, but it's not as prevalent as you would think. It being, like a coastal Portland being a coastal city or not coastal, but an inland or a inland coastal, I guess. You go up the Columbia River and then there's Portland, um, but I will tell you this: there are we know which restaurants in town uh, not to go to, and at some point, let me ask you this, Jared. So this is kind of how it's shaped up for me in the last 20 years. Let me get your take on this, but there's a couple of taco shops here in town that have a dang good taco, right? And it's my worldview that there are few problems that can't be solved with a taco or an ice cream cone, right? I mean, it's life's pretty simple when you boil it down to that, right? But there are a couple of taco shops in town that I just love. And we know that there are roaches there, but I still eat there because I like the tacos. And I figure that anywhere that I eat is probably going to have roaches or rodents or something like that. So I've gotten to the point where I'm just like, I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to worry about it. What's your position there?
Well, being out of that side of the industry for so long now, I don't know which restaurants have them, which restaurants don't, unless either my brother calls me and tells me, or one of my clients tells me, or one of my sons tell me, "Hey, don't go to this restaurant for at least 60 days." But once it's fairly cleaned up, yeah, I would definitely eat there. I had plenty of restaurants on my routes where I would go in, do a complete clean out and be just so disgusted, but they wanted to feed you every time you were there. And
Yep.
of course, you can't say no because then they go, "Oh, well, maybe you don't like, our food, so why do we have you servicing our restaurant?" So
Right.
you sit
Yep.
down, you have a meal, you break bread with them, and all of a sudden they're like, "You're our best friend." So
Take one for the team.
that's right.
You know,
You know what? Actually, well, I'll just say this. There was one restaurant in town. It was a Chinese restaurant over by the mall. I think Eric, you know which account I'm talking about.
I got you.
And that restaurant I would never eat at, just because I had seen too much of what was going on behind the scenes. And ironically, that restaurant burned to the ground like
Oh, wow.
what, a year ago or less than a year ago. Yeah, just burned to the ground. So I don't know what the deal was there, but I don't know. Yeah, there's one spot I wouldn't eat there.
I feel like there's these like restaurants. I've got a list that I'm like, they're so good and they're some of my favorites. So like unless they hit this threshold of like really bad activity, just don't tell me because I just don't
Yeah,
want to know, right? Ignorance
ignorance
is
is
bliss.
bliss.
Exactly.
Oh, did we just say that at the same time?
We did. Jinx, you owe me a new
Oh
Bug
man,
Buck shirt.
yeah.
Yeah.
Great minds think alike, and so do
So
ours.
yes. All right. So Jared, uh, obviously there's roaches that have been part of the conversation now, and a lot of your clients that are ordering product have issues with roaches. But based on the order history recently from PCOs, one, what product is being requested the most, and maybe two, what pest issue is in the highest demand, or are you seeing kind of an increase within those different markets? What are you noticing in the industry right now?
So the one thing that I've noticed over several years is rodent pressure around the suburbs. It just hasn't gone away. We have found that rodent
Yeah.
work used to be cyclical and only be really in the wintertime unless somebody had a huge problem inside their home and just wasn't taking care of it. Now we see rodent pressure in the Kansas City marketplace constantly, all summer,
Mm.
all winter. So a lot of people are going through a lot of rodenticides, as well as snap traps and things to, build them out and do all of the corrective measures. Um, so I would say rodenticides are pretty high on that. And
Well,
then
is that a COVID fallout, Jared?
oh no,
Do you
this
think?
I've seen this. I would say I've seen that since before 2015. I remember
Okay.
going to houses in the middle of the summer and having people tell me that, so and so couldn't get rid of my rodent problem and they're only doing stuff on the outside. And, I was like, well, the funny thing is you have fur. If it's wintertime, you want to be inside because it's cold outside. If it's summertime and it's 100 degrees outside and you have fur, you want to be inside because it's cold inside. So there's issues there that, basically since way before 2015, going in and starting to do more of the building them out and seal up and making sure that the problem's being taken care of from the outside, putting some snap traps inside, putting rodent bait on the outside. Once the problem's solved, you can go take all of your measures up because you've sealed up the entire outside of that house. That's the best
Mm.
treatment for rodents today, but a lot of people still just use the rodenticides and hope for the best. Um,
Mm.
so I would say that no, it's been an ongoing issue for quite some time in the Kansas City area, at least, that I've seen.
Okay.
Is it
As
is it
far
pretty common when you've got a client that's saying, "Hey, I need tons of rodenticides. We need bait stations, we need snap traps, we need all this stuff for rodents. Things are really picking up. Is it a common part of the conversation for you to recommend or even ask, hey, do you offer an exclusion as part of your service? Does that come up in conversation?
Not too often. Basically, a lot of these guys are one man operators, don't want to spend the extra time to do the exclusion
Mhm.
work. But if they do, they want to make sure they get the funds out of it. And I've had multiple conversations with multiple one man or two man operations on how I would, one, do the treatment, and two, what kind of cost would I associate with that? From my history of doing sales, they just they love to have that type of information. And usually I tell them straight up front that, hey, this is just an idea. It's not the price that you absolutely need to go with, but you have to feel what's comfortable for you as a one man operator, because this is you feeding your family. This isn't me feeding your family. This is, you have to go make sure that you're going to be able to sell this service to that homeowner, have them 100% on board, solve that problem, and reap the reward of whatever you charge them for that. So you and your family can, eat a meal or go out to eat. That's where I'm at. I work with them, to help them come up with better pricing. Sometimes they may be really low and they'll ask me a question, and then they'll up their price, and then I'll get a call. Hey man, that was great. I was able to upsell that a little bit, and it really did work out for me. I really appreciate the extra help.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. So when you have a pest control company, do you really work with them on like rotating MOAs and being on top of like the science behind pest control, or is that kind of more of an individual operator situation?
In my case, it's more of an individual operator situation.
Hmm.
Um, Most of them will say things like, hey, I've used this same product for the last 5 years. I've heard that you need to rotate these products because they're not going to work forever. And my first question is, are you having any callbacks? If you're
Hmm.
not having any
Okay.
callbacks, why change what's working? You
Yeah.
know, if you're getting callbacks, then you have to figure out, why am I getting a callback? Did something break down too quick? Did I not apply it correctly this time? Did they water the entire outside of their house 2 seconds after I left? You know, that kind of thing. You have to ask
Are
some
they not
questions.
agitating their sprayers?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So you just have to ask some
Hmm.
questions, and a lot of them will come to their own conclusion and say, that really helped me. I really appreciate the extra 2 seconds that you had that conversation with me. Now I know what to do when I go back for this, follow up visit. So to
Mhm.
answer your question, it's usually just the person that is asking the question to what they feel is most comfortable for them. Um, and if they feel at that point, hey, I need to change materials because this isn't working, then we start discussing materials and what the options are.
Oh, cool. Yeah. No, that
You know,
makes
I'm
sense.
not I'm not sure how deep of a dive you take in with these PCOs when they bring you a situation like, hey, we're having this problem or we're getting callbacks or this product's not working. But I'm wondering what you found has been the most common cause for products to be ineffective that aren't actually related to the products themselves. Whether it's a customer at the house who's mopping up the product after they put it down or whatever situation's going on. But have you ever come across a situation that has kind of a common trend where you see a spike or someone's, not satisfied with a product and you realize, oh, you're misapplying it and that's a common problem, or the customer's doing an issue. Have you ran into anything like that?
A lot of times it has to do with the customer, making sure that the operator is asking those questions. And a lot of times they'll ask the questions, but will they get the truth out of the homeowner? So the easiest way to answer that question is the ones that I found that people have come and talked to me about is like, hey, my ant bait's not working. I've got some ant bait inside the house. They're just not going to it. Okay. So have you asked the homeowner if she's using Clorox cleanups? Have you asked the homeowner if she's spraying down the counters where you've got this, ant bait? If she is, she's rendered that useless immediately. And now you're behind the eight ball because the ant population is exceedingly getting the population is exploding, and now she's upset because you're not doing your job, but you are. She's just making it, rendering it useless, so it's not going to work. That's the main one I see. I don't ever see real failures in products. Um, Unless like a manufacturer calls and says, "Hey, you need to pull these products because we had a bad batch."
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that happens, but that's few and far between. So usually it's just a conversation between you and the homeowner, or you and the restaurant owner or business owner to get to the, hey, why is it not working?
Don't you think it should be an additional part of the contract sometimes? And you make the customer swear, I swear that I will not spray, uh, what is that? So I will not spray lavender oil or use Clorox wipes or spray Windex or whatever. Like
Or
I
rub Irish
solemnly,
Spring on my door frames.
right, yeah. Like I solemnly promise that I will leave your ant treatments, the cuss alone, and let you do your thing. I mean, how many times have you gone to a callback? It's not working, and then the first question you ask, well, are you cleaning the counters? Well, of course I clean the counters. You put ant gel or bug spray or whatever, and we're like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds about right.
how? Okay, well let's just take this only. We don't have to rewind this tape very far. Let's just go one step back.
Right.
You
I
know.
like I like the
So,
callbacks of, I have dead bugs everywhere. You need to come back and spray.
oh, we
Oh, those are the best.
had
What do
those.
you mean they're dead?
Yep. Yep.
You just like to say, "Oh, you're welcome."
Yeah. You're like, well, let me see. Oh, that black hole that we placed over the house that magically transports all of your insects to the other side of the universe. It seems to be malfunctioning. So let me fix that, and then you'll be happy, right?
Right.
Oh man.
So, Jared, I want to rewind just a little bit back to the forecasting part of the conversation, because we've had the question come up before a lot when it comes to buying in bulk, and maybe from both a pricing standpoint and a product longevity standpoint, like a shelf life standpoint. What do you recommend when it comes to companies buying products in bulk? Is it, hey, buy as much as you can afford, or what are the ins and outs of that?
That's a good question. The ins and outs of buying in bulk come in two different ways. So if you're going to buy in bulk, all the plastic, such as your bait stations, those don't go bad. You can buy 6 pallets at a time if they're on private label and have them direct shipped to you from that manufacturer. You can buy them three with another manufacturer and one with another manufacturer. So buying in
Mhm.
bulk your bait stations, if you can forecast and know, hey, we're going to sell, you know, an extra 8,000 houses this next summer. We need to have that many bait stations to go around those houses. Then yeah, sure. You buy it before the end of the year. A lot of people like that as a tax advantage. And a lot of people, just like to buy it at the end of the year because they've got extra funds and don't want to deal with, those things. As far as chemicals, it I would always buy what I needed for the year. If it was like, say, Syngenta, and you were doing
Mhm.
the Syngenta program, I would look at
Mhm.
that in October and say, okay, this is what we went through in 2023. So let's look and see how much more we are going to need to get us through 2024, and
Right.
buy it at that time, because and I've seen your guys' podcast with Syngenta, you go through and you get some terms, and, you don't have to pay for it right away. You take it right away, but you just don't have to pay for it right away. That product,
Totally.
your concentrates can last a few years. All manufacturers are different on that. So most say, 2 to 4, some say 3 to 6, some say, 5 to 7. It just depends on the environment you're putting it in. Is it getting frozen? Is it getting way too hot? Those are the things that you need to look at with your control room for your pesticides. Um, if it's controlled at whatever the ambient temperature is in your building all the time, then yeah, you should be able to get them, longevity out of those materials. But if you're a one-man operator, of course you're not going to go buy in bulk. You don't have the funds to do that. Five-man operation, you could probably start buying a little bit more in bulk. especially like the demand master shippers or buying, several cases of like Termidor, those things, or the control solution Taurus. All those things play a factor when they're on sale. You want to try and get them while they're on that sale and get enough to last you throughout the year so you don't have to worry about, hey, you know, I'm trying to make money off of this product, but now I'm buying it at a higher rate and I have to raise my price a little bit because I missed that sale. So getting things while they're on sale in bulk is a good idea, but always know what your market will allow you to purchase. Don't over purchase just because you want to, think, oh, it's on sale. I'm going to buy 10 cases. If you're only going to use 4 cases, don't buy 10.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and shameless plug here. We do the master shipper, for Natura, and yeah, Marshall Gaster talked about that. You're right on the episode with him, and you know what, man? Like if you can buy in bulk and you've got a deal like Syngenta's master shipper, dude, do it because I mean you're saving so much money on your product, and buying in bulk, you're going to need it anyway, and it saves you the headache of looking at your shelves and going, oh crap, we're almost out of demand. We've got to hurry and put that order in. So that's awesome. And so you see a lot of that happening through pest management supply with your clients then, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we have a lot of
Cool.
people that will stock up, especially at the end of the year. We have a few that look at what they used in the previous year and they try and get most of that towards the end of the year. So the first quarter to 5 months, they don't have to purchase as much. So they've already put that money aside during their entire summer and said we're going to purchase XYZ so we can get through the first 5 months of the year, especially over here where it's, as of today, we are at 2 degrees and 7 degrees below zero.
What? Why?
Yeah,
Why would you do that? That's
well,
that's
it's
terrible.
cold here. so we're out there, but that's what happens is that they buy stuff so they don't have to worry about, hey, we have to get all this work done in January, February, March, and April, because we have to pay our employees and things like that, plus buy chemical. Well, let's buy the chemical in December and pay for it. And then the first 5 months of the year, I'm only going to buy what I absolutely need. Oh, I only need
Mhm.
an extra pail of bait. Oh, I only need uh, a, a bottle of Alpine WSG, just to get them by for the next couple of months, that kind of thing. So I say that it's good to look at those things, especially if you're in a area like we are in the Midwest where winter time happens. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, so some of the Midwest up towards like Minnesota and Wisconsin, they know what snow really is. It gets fall up there. So
Yeah.
Jeez. Well,
Yeah.
Jared, I want to make sure, we're running short on time, so I got to make sure I ask you this question before we run out. Um, do you guys have any reward or loyalty programs or any specials or deals or discounts that you guys have going on throughout the year? And if so, what's the best way for your customers to take advantage of those?
um, basically, we have sales that go on periodically throughout the year. Uh, I work on those with our COO and our owner. And what we do is we get those out to people and hope that they see our LinkedIn or our Facebook page and they want to take advantage of that. Um, basically, our biggest deal is to help supply success to the end user. The more that we can get in front of them, the better off we are. Um, especially, this is why we chose you guys as one of our outlets as our advertising. So we wanted to make sure that we hooked our wagon up to somebody that was, out there and they've been doing it right for some time and make sure that we're with them and helping supply success to their customer base.
Man, I love that. That's what the industry's all about, right? That's awesome.
So great.
Yeah.
So, Jared, if obviously people are listening, if they already are connected with you, I'm sure they know where to find you. If they haven't connected with you yet, what's the best way to do that for them?
If they want to connect directly with me, they can just go to my email address, which is my first name, Jared, Jared, D at pestmanagementsupply.com. If they want to connect with our company and they want to just ask them some questions, they can just go to sales at pestmanagementsupply.com. And with that, our COO finds out who's in the area of where you're living, that kind of thing, so we can get the right person in touch with you to have a conversation.
Awesome. That's so great. Jared.
If you don't like emails, you can always call 800-242-1211, and you'll get a hold of one of our secretaries, and they will be more than happy to get you in touch with one of the sales reps.
Nice.
Perfect. All right. Well, Jared, it's been great having you on the show. Thank you so much for being here. We at BugBucks look forward to a long and mutually beneficial partnership between us and Pest Management Supplies. So thank you again. And for everybody else, thank you for listening in. If you have a coworker, a manager, or an owner who could benefit from listening to this episode, the best way to say thank you to us is to share this episode with them. If you haven't joined the Facebook groups yet, go find the groups and join. It's BugBucks Plus. Lots of information and great connections there. If you have a topic you want discussed on the show, drop it in the group. As always, this episode is brought to you by BugBucks Plus, the #1 training and education platform designed to help you build and scale your pest control company. Visit bugbucksplus.com to sign up and start building today.
I'm not even going to say it. If you haven't hit subscribe already, come on.
Come on, what are you doing?
Come on. What are you doing?
Thanks again for listening in, and until next time, keep building those pest control companies.
You're listening to the Bug Bucks Podcast, hosted by Eric Bassett and Jake Klaus.